Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. Welcome to the second episode of the USIC podcast discussing fitting in on the university campus. So I think those points kind of lead us to the next topic, which is Islamophobia and your personal experiences, because we've all been talking about kind of dawah and giving that and things like that. And obviously that's the nice part of things when you tell someone about your Islam or how you behave and things like that, and they like that, and inshallah they come towards Islam. But the other side of that is people essentially not liking Islam or even hating Islam for whatever reason. So have any of you had any personal experience with Islamophobia? I've got my own kind of story, but I wonder whether you guys have any thoughts on that.
I mean, there's nothing too extreme, but last year, I think everyone in the flat would agree I had a racist flatmate. And it was kind of an interesting experience because you could tell he liked me as a person. He enjoyed like my company and stuff. But then at the same time, he got like really angry that I was going to live with Muslims next year. And he's like, oh, he didn't say it to me directly, but I remember like coming home one day from like London, and the guys were like just in his room chatting. I was like, oh, what's going on? And then one of them told me later, he's like, he was generally like anti-immigrant, super British guy, and it was quite weird because a lot of the time I'd talk about stuff in Islam and he'd say, oh, that sounds really cool, or like oh, Muslim women are really good because they keep themselves covered, stuff like that. But then at the same time, he wouldn't want any Muslims in the country, or he wouldn't want any like immigrants in general. And I think it was part of my approach was trying to just like still be friends with him, still like hang out with him a bit, because he wasn't hostile or anything, but I was hoping that I could change his mind. I don't know how much I did or not, but I think it's still like good to interact with them if you can. But then if it gets hostile and you're uncomfortable, then you shouldn't anymore.
Yeah, I think that also relates back to the point about not being scared to be Muslim. I mean, if you don't assert yourself enough, then people will think that, you're one of those people who just follow the religion because your family does, and they'll get the wrong idea. So it's definitely important to make sure that at the same time, you don't want to be squeezing Islam into everything, of course, because you don't want to shove it down people's throats. But as was said earlier, when the situation arises, it's always good to speak up and not be afraid to speak up. It's very easy to avoid speaking about it with non-Muslims because we are the minority in the sense that, especially if you're in a flat where everyone else could be white and you're Muslim, you might think, oh, this isn't the time and the place. Maybe I should just leave it. I don't want to cause any arguments. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be an argument. It could just be a friendly debate.
I was just going to say, I feel like, I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this or not. I feel like one thing about Islam is from the beginning, there's always been groups of people that have been fighting it. That was way before we were born, while we're living right now, probably long after we're gone. And for me as Aisha, I'm just like, okay, Aisha, so you're Muslim, you're black, you're a woman. So that's like a triple-edged sword, whether that exists or not. So it's just, you need to understand, whether you like it or not, at different points of your life, you're probably going to have to face each one of them. And obviously it's not fine, but it's just, you kind of have to prepare yourself. And I feel like if you mentally, obviously it's easier said than done as well. It depends on the situation. But if you mentally prepare yourself for it, it's not something that comes to you as a surprise. So you maybe can have some sort of idea of how to go about it. In terms of me being a Muslim, I wouldn't say I've had much, I haven't been much of a victim of Islamophobia, apart from like, I don't know, what's the word again? Microaggressive slurs and things like that. I wouldn't say I've genuinely been a victim of it. So it's a hard one. It's easier said than done, but I feel like you just need to understand that that is your role as a Muslim and part of your test from Allah.
Yeah. So I have had quite a few Islamophobic experiences, I'll say. One mainly micro aggressive ones, usually in passing, people who, that's the thing, I've never experienced anyone be Islamophobic to my face. I've never experienced someone, as in someone like a close friend or who I consider a colleague or something like that. I've only ever had distant experiences. So one of them, for example, was being in a majority Christian white school and being the only Middle Eastern Muslim woman, female, not even a woman, but a female in that school. So obviously there'd be kind of little things like, oh, well, why do you wear a scarf? And it was in a way where you can tell that, they you can see it in their eyes, and they have that prejudice against you. Or for example, parents wouldn't allow their kids to hang out with me because I looked different and they didn't want their kids being around. But, I've had other bigger experiences where it can be scary when I'm not sure about Muslim men, but for Muslim women, when you wear a hijab, it can be extremely scary going out into the world. And the only reason I say that now is because I had an experience where, unfortunately, there was a time where someone did a drive-by and threw something at my face. And I pray to God every day that it was just some stupid teenager and they were just pranking people. But it does kind of highlight how deep-rooted, if it was an Islamophobic case, how deep-rooted it is and how widespread it is. So for me, my reaction to that was, rather than get angry and post about it everywhere and say, oh, guys, there's all this going on and getting angry, it's what you said, Aisha, which is understanding that at the end of the day, Islam entered this world as a stranger and it will leave this world as a stranger. But according to the Prophet, give glad tidings to the strangers. So it's understanding that, yes, you will have enemies out there. There will be people that don't like you. There will be people that look down on you. There will be people that make fun of you. But at the end of the day, your duty isn't to add fire to the fuel. Rather, it's to cool the fire down. So through your actions, through your kind words, you can change that perception. And people are always surprised and say, oh, well, why are you such a happy person? And why are you so optimistic? Because there's already enough kind of bad things happening in the world. You don't need to add to that. And, as like I said, you have to accept that there are going to be people that don't like you. So you just make do with it. You just got to make your peace with it and move on. You don't necessarily have to question it, but rather do what you can, have tawakkul in Allah, and just move on. But that's just something that came to my mind as you were saying that. But yeah,
I was just gonna say quickly. It reminds me as well of this video. I think it came out probably around the summer, where there was a Muslim Uber driver and I think a white man in the car, and he just kept racial slurs, kept throwing them at him constantly, and the driver was just sat there like, just pay me my money. He wasn't really paying attention to anything that man was saying. All he wanted was kind of the payment for the service that he had done. And it just shows you, I don't know, for me, it just showed how he just took patience with the situation. So all the time, I feel like we see it everywhere. Fasbir sabran jamila, I think translating to, and be patient with beautiful patience, something like that. So it's just, if you understand that this is a test from Allah, that helps in how you're going to deal with it. The person could be shocked and be like, I did this today to this person. They didn't insult me back. They didn't look at me. They didn't do anything. What does that say about me as a person? And so sometimes that going home with those thoughts can be what would change the person and be like, maybe I should start to learn more about it. There's a reason this person did not chat back when I was saying all of this. So it's just I don't know, you need to be mature in every situation, not only Islamophobia, just when you're angry, keep quiet. That's the best thing. And you never know.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that as Muslims, we have to understand that we weren't the first ones to experience an Islamophobic society. The Prophet literally spent his entire life in an Islamophobic society. You know, he spent his entire life. If I thought my experiences were bad, that's nothing compared to what he went through. People would literally spit at him, throw things at him, swear at him. He'd come home bloodied some days. Not just him, but his whole family was affected by it. You know, his wife, Khadija, his children are affected by it. Everyone in his household is affected by Islam. And yet he never, ever complained. And he never, ever put other people down. And he was always someone who was a smiling, friendly face. And it reminds me of the narration where there was a woman who would constantly throw things at him every single day. And then one day he realizes that no one's throwing things at him from that particular house. And he goes and he inquires about her and they say, oh, she's ill. And he goes and visits her and she says, why are you visiting me? I throw things at you. I swear at you every day. And he said, because I just wanted to check up on you. You know, I'm used to seeing you and today I didn't see you. And that changed her perspective so much that she ended up becoming a Muslim. So we have to understand that if you want to know how to deal with Islamophobia, turn to the Sunnah, because that's literally our guide. It's everything we need.
Yeah. And I think it's also good to have to try and look for the best in people, because it's a bit of a weird story, but back in 2012, I was living up north. I won't say specifically where, but some people threw genuine Molotovs on the door of the mosque when we were in there, try to burn it down. It's a bit crazy. I was, I think, 12 at the time. I didn't really comprehend what was going on. But then after it, a lot of the neighbors of the mosque came and checked on us and made sure we were okay. They spoke with people. They were trying to give us food while we were all outside and the police were there and stuff like that. Alhamdulillah, no one got hurt, but I thought it was really good that the sheikh there, he when he gave his next Friday, the Jum'ah, he tried to highlight the neighbors that came to help us. And he tried to say, look at these people, look at the people that are good. Don't get bogged down by the people that were trying to hurt us. And it's good to kind of always assume the best in people, like Amani was doing with the guy that threw something at her. Because it's better for you, personally as well, to not always be walking around paranoid.
Yeah, so also something that's made me think about is whether kind of as Muslims we walk around kind of being scared of Islamophobia, thinking about what other people think about us, especially sisters with hijab on, clearly you're Muslim. Do we kind of go around as people that worry about what other people are thinking about us? So I had a situation, it was straight after the kind of Christchurch incident where people got shot in a mosque, and I'd just been to the prayer room and I was coming back in I was at uni and I was coming in through a different building because it's in a different place, and this other student was kind of following me behind. I don't like to say this, but basically she was white, very clearly, and essentially I was walking through a door and she seemed to kind of speed up behind me, and so I was very on edge at that point just because of the incident that had happened, and so I kind of held the door for her and I could without kind of, obviously if they're behind you, I wasn't kind of staring at her face, but I could tell that she was kind of staring at me and I wasn't being paranoid, and then we got through the next door and we kind of caught eyes almost, and she just looked at me for a while and I just kind of smiled at her, and then she said, she made sure that she looked at me in the eyes and just said to me I love your hijab. And I was so surprised by that, because I was just waiting for her to I don't know what I was waiting for, to be honest. I again don't assume kind of bad things of people, but I was just really on edge at that point. But I was really surprised that she used the word hijab as well, not just I like your scarf or I like what you're wearing. So I was like, thank you. And she said something like, it's like it's really beautiful or something like that. So she like went out of her way to talk about it. So I don't know if she was kind of relating it to that incident and making people feel comfortable. It was just something that she said to people, but I thought that was really nice. So I think, yeah, from personal experience, like don't assume kind of bad things of people. Obviously be vigilant and things like that. But there are people out there that do want to say kind of good things, and it's an opportunity for good dawah, like all of you have said. If they're being positive from the outset, then that's your opportunity to kind of respond nicely in return. Like it opens that door for you.
Yeah, alhamdulillah that you gave her a smile. Like, you never know, maybe if you didn't give her that smile, it could have gone differently. Maybe she came with bad intentions, but when she saw you smiling, she decided to change her mind and thought, you know what, this hijab is like a good thing. It's she associated it with something good. Like me personally, I forget to smile a lot, mostly because in my country, like in Libya, if someone looks at you, either you say like salam or you don't. Like, no one smiles over there. Like mostly in the East, even in Russia, I've heard like no one actually smiles. Only in the West. It's a good thing to smile, obviously, or even from the Sunnah. So I want to try smiling more. But for me personally, when people look at me, I don't smile, and it's something I want to improve on, inshallah. I feel like if I do smile more, they'll. I mean, I don't wear anything Islamic, but if I were to wear something Islamic, like even like a thobe or something, then I would definitely need to make sure to smile more, and so people can associate that smile with Islam.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the power of a good smile. But
Mm.
smile more, Ennis.
Where is it?
Be afraid.
Huh?
Don't be
Yeah,
afraid.
you're right. You're right.
I don't know if anyone gets this thing, but when there's like an old person walking along the road or something, I like smile excessively at them to be like, I'm the good teenager, not a teenager anymore, but I'm one of the good kids.
I feel like I kind of can relate to that because I lost my smile a bit in London. So I grew up mostly in Gambia, and honestly, I feel like because also in Gambia is so tiny, everyone knows everyone, so you're literally just smiling like an idiot all the time. And you come to London and you want to continue something like that, and it's like, what are you doing, you weirdo? I come back to Sheffield and I'm just screw face, everything, but everyone's smiling. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go back to the old Aisha. Just smiling, man. I feel like it's so beautiful as well. Like you don't know someone, but you can share a smile and I don't know, you just remember it kind of for the day, or it just lightens up your day and things like that. And I kind of wanted to talk about what you mentioned, Lena, with the hijab and things like that and being scared of it and stuff. Because for me, this is something that I'm still trying to practice now as well, but like wearing my hijab properly, some days you'd see me and it's in a turban, other days it's in a scarf, but at some point it was literally turban every day and my mom was like, wear it properly, what are you doing, da da da. I was like, I couldn't explain to her that it's like, mommy, like I just basically couldn't explain to her why I wasn't wearing it properly. I just tried to say, mommy, it's still fine, like, you know what I mean? But it was mostly deep within, it was like, I'm worried about what my mates in architecture are going to think about it or stuff like that. And it's so you just, the more you try to learn about the deen, I feel like it empowers you. You're like, you know what, I'm ready. Tomorrow I'm wearing this hijab properly, I'm going. And that really does help. And it's been helping me and it's still helping me. So one day I just decided, you know what, I'm going to wear it properly. I'm going to go to uni and it's fine, just carry yourself confident. And I got the same kind of reaction that you got. Oh my God, you changed your scarf today, it looks so nice. And just people asking questions about why I'm wearing it like this or things like that. So it can be just a conversation starter. Don't look at it as something that could block you out from opportunities or anything like that. And even if it does block you out of opportunities, it's what Allah decreed for you. It reminds me of this video, I think one of Mufti Menk's lectures, where this sister was trying to get on a flight and they didn't allow her to get on it because they said she had to take her hijab off for a picture. And she just stood her ground, refused to take it off, everything. And next thing you know, the flight that she was meant to be on was involved in a crash. And so the only reason that she wasn't on that flight is because she stood her ground and chose Islam over whatever they were telling her. So it's just remembering these things and just remembering why you're doing it and praying for Allah to make it easy, because it's not easy. It's not easy.